watch Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. It's right. And they're rated equal.
On October 17, 2005, while on a nighttime mounted patrol near an enemy-laden village, the Bradley fighting vehicle which Sergeant First Class Cash was commanding was attacked by enemy small arms fire and an improvised explosive device, which disabled the vehicle and engulfed it in flames. After opening the driver's hatch, Sergeant First Class Cash and a fellow soldier extracted the driver, who was engulfed in the flames. During the course of extinguishing the flames on the driver and extracting him from the vehicle, Sergeant First Class Cash's fuel-soaked uniform ignited and caused severe burns to his body. When another element of the company engaged the enemy, Sergeant First Class Cash seized the opportunity and moved into the open troop door and aided 4 of his soldiers in escaping the burning vehicle. Having extracted the 4 soldiers, Sergeant First Class Cash noticed 2 other soldiers had not been accounted for, and again he entered the vehicle to retrieve them. Despite the severe 2nd and 3rd degree burns covering the majority of his body, Sergeant First Class Cash persevered through the pain to encourage his fellow soldiers and ensure they received needed medical care. When medical evacuation helicopters began to arrive, Sergeant First Class Cash selflessly refused evacuation until all of the other wounded soldiers were evacuated first.
On the 28th of June 2005, operating in an extremely rugged enemy-controlled area, Lieutenant Murphy's 4-member team was besieged by 30 and 40 enemy fighters. The ensuing fierce firefight resulted in numerous enemy casualties, as well as the wounding of all 4 members of the team. Realizing the impossibility of communicating in the extreme terrain, and in the face of almost certain death, he fought his way into open terrain to gain a better position to transmit a call. This deliberate, heroic act deprived him of cover, exposing him to direct enemy fire. Finally achieving contact with his headquarters, Lieutenant Murphy maintained his exposed position while he provided his location and requested immediate support for his team. In his final act of bravery, he continued to engage the enemy until he was mortally wounded.
On June 21, 2006, while Staff Sergeant Monty was leading a mission aimed at gathering intelligence and directing fire against the enemy, his 16-man patrol was attacked by as many as 50 enemy fighters. While still directing fire, Staff Sergeant Monty personally engaged the enemy with his rifle and a grenade, successfully disrupting an attempt to flank his patrol. Staff Sergeant Monty then realized that one of his soldiers was lying wounded in the open ground between the advancing enemy and the patrol's position. Determined not to leave his soldier, Staff Sergeant Monty made a 3rd attempt to cross open terrain through intense enemy fire. On this final attempt, he was mortally wounded, sacrificing his own life in an effort to save his fellow soldier.
On September 29, 2006, in the early morning, insurgents prepared to execute a coordinated attack by reconnoitering the area around the element's position. Element snipers thwarted the enemy's initial attempt by eliminating 2 insurgents. The enemy continued to assault the element, engaging them with a rocket-propelled grenade and small arms fire. While the SEALs watched for enemy activity, an insurgent threw a hand grenade from an unseen location, which bounced off Petty Officer Mansour's chest and landed in front of him. Although only he could have escaped the blast, Petty Officer Mansour chose instead to protect his teammates. Without regard for his own safety, he threw himself onto the grenade to absorb the force of the explosion with his body, saving the lives of his 2 teammates.
on the 4th of December 2006. While Private McGinnis was manning the M250 caliber machine gun, a fragmentation grenade thrown by an insurgent fell through the gunner's hatch into the vehicle. Reacting quickly, he yelled, "Grenade," allowing all 4 members of his crew to prepare for the grenade's blast. Then, rather than leaping from the gunner's hatch to safety, Private McGinnis covered the live grenade, pinning it between his body and the vehicle and absorbing most of the explosion. Private McGinnis' gallant action directly saved 4 men from certain serious injury or death.